2, 1.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this council meeting of the Town of Lincoln, August the 6th, 2024, to order. And I'll ask if you are able to please stand for the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Please be seated. I would like to begin this evening by reading a safety notice. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate council chambers to the nearest exit through the chamber's door to my left and obey all instructions given. If assistance is required, please see Madam Clerk. Once you have evacuated the building, please gather in the front parking lot outside of Town Hall. At this point, please ensure you place your cell phone on silent or turn it off. And lastly, the Town of Lincoln Council meetings are posted on our YouTube channel. Closed captioning is available on all our videos by selecting the closed captioning button on the bottom right of the video. The Town of Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandronk, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality of Niagara and the Town of Lincoln stand with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Members of council are in attendance in person and remotely. And we have staff in attendance as well as Mark Molnar, our town crier, and Chandra Sharma, the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority Executive Director. And Regional Council Foster is attending remotely. Do members have any amendments to the order of the agenda? There being none, are there any declarations of interest? Do members have any announcements? And please remember you have a limit of 3 items. Councillor Rajima.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to update Council regarding my role as a member of the Governmental Outreach Committee for the proposal to designate the Niagara Peninsula as a geopark. You've heard updates from me in the past, and my goal is to raise awareness. My role is to raise awareness, I should say. And as a recap, UNESCO global geoparks are geographical areas where sites and landscapes of international geographical significance are managed with the concept of protection, education, and sustainable development, combining conservation with sustainable development and involving local communities. Today, there are 230 UNESCO global geoparks in 48 countries and 5 in Canada. 1 in New Brunswick, 1 in Quebec, 1 in BC, one in Newfoundland, and one in Newfoundland, Labrador, and one in Nova Scotia. To quote Geopark Chair Perry Hartwick, "Geoparks are built in a foundation of geology and geoheritage. The mandate of the board is to teach about geology under our feet, the grapes, the Power, the Welland Canal, all built on geomorphology and a glacial history that spans over 100 years. Also pivotal is the history of Niagara's Indigenous peoples. Artifacts from Indigenous nations dating back as early as 10,000 years ago have been found in the region. It also includes colonial history and the culture of cooperation between the British that helped make Canada the country it is today, and the proposal involves bringing together more than 20 natural heritage sites across the Niagara region and 12 municipalities, including Balls Falls, Cave Springs, Rockway Conservation Area, and in Niagara on the Lake, the Landscape of Nations at Queenston Heights Park, the Willowbank School of Restoration Arts, and Wood End Conservation Area. One of the things I want to update you on is that the group that's been working diligently for roughly 10 years towards the designation recently received charitable education status from the Canada Revenue Agency. So congratulations on that. And then as the next update towards designation, you'll recall that about a year ago, I updated you that a group of evaluators visited Niagara region starting at Balls Falls. Mayor was there. And they were taken on a tour of the various sites in Niagara Peninsula as part of the assessment of the application to designate the geopark. More recently, in early July, evaluators attended the second and final visit in the process. I'm told that an official announcement is coming in the first quarter of 2025, and there's a maximum of 2 designations per country. Canada has the Niagara Peninsula as a submission, and potentially one other. I've been asked to thank this council and staff for their support in this, and if you have any questions, let me know, and if I don't have an answer, I'll get it for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And I, on behalf of Council, want to thank you for your long-term commitment to this project. And within the last 8 months actually, I attended a session at Brock University where a number of the surveyors came, and they came to look at smaller groups of events, spaces, natural spaces. And what I found tremendously interesting was that you got to hear what other people's interests were, what their commitments were, how they saw this all coming together, what a great benefit it would be. And it's not unlike some of the other partnerships that we have with many of the organizations and groups that were involved. And I think this is really an important project that you've been involved in. I know that Brittany Beluski as well attended at the event at Balls Falls. I know that Chandra Sharma and her team have also been part of it from the Conservation Authority perspective. And I've just found it to be tremendously educational and very, very, very worthwhile. So we're all hoping for the best because there's a great deal to be interested in the long term in Niagara for sure. Thank you for that. Councillor Timmers.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. And to you, Councillor Regima, that was very interesting. Thanks for updating us and keeping us in the loop of what's happening. It's really exciting. I'm going to talk also a little bit about designation. The Heritage Committee has been working very diligently and doing a lot of research, and we're currently planning a designation for Balls Falls to designate all the historical buildings that are on site there. And I just wanted to give council a heads up that that will be occurring on October 11th during the annual Thanksgiving craft show at Balls Falls. So it's scheduled for October 11th at 2 o'clock. Very exciting, and a shout out to our chair, Scott Foster, who worked very, very hard on the designation statements for these buildings at Balls Falls, and it was a lot of work, and he just did a fantastic job. And also to the rest of the committee as well. So they're all have been working very hard. And I just want to give a heads up that an official invitation will be coming to council, but if you could mark it into your calendar for October 11th. Thank you very much, Mayor Easton.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Reimer.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Just a couple of events that I was fortunate enough to attend on your behalf. July 17th, this past month, in the Butterfly Garden in the Fleming Center, Andrea Chambers and myself were privileged to hand out, on the mayor's behalf, $54,000 to 8 different charities, and these are the funds that the mayor makes from her golf tournament every year. So it was kind of neat to see the interaction and the different charities that were represented there. So that was on the 17th, and also on July 25th, Walker Brothers Open House and their summer barbecue. I'm always willing to head to a barbecue if you need me to, Mayor. So I was there for that, and it was a cool dynamic to see. They hold that every year, and it's a community event as well as the employees. And so it's anytime we can get our community, leaving little pieces of our community together for a barbecue, it's kind of neat to be there. So thank you for letting me attend those 2 events on your behalf.
Thank you very much for representing council. All right, let's move on then. We have no proclamations this evening. However, having said that, our first item is to recognize Mark Molnar. So let me say, ladies and gentlemen, oyez, oyez, oyez. On this occasion, we welcome Mr. Mark Molnar, who is our town crier and was the recipient of the 2024 Provincial Town Crier Championship that was held in June. Good enough for a prize?
Works for me.
Welcome, Mark, and thank you so much for coming here this evening.
Thank you for inviting me.
Would you like to tell us about the event? Tell us
Oh.
about what was involved.
Well, the event, town crier competitions are held in conjunction with other events that are going on in the area. This particular one was the 150th anniversary of the founding of Petrolia, or the incorporation of Petrolia. And it was probably one of the best organized competitions I've ever attended. We were invited special guests of the RCMP for their musical ride. We had a special evening with performers who were doing a tribute to Gordon Lightfoot. And just all around, everything was absolutely top-notch. All the criers that attended were very impressed with the organization and with the welcome that we received in Petrolia. We did have an evening reception with the mayor of Petrolia, and I presented him with the gift from your office. And so during the course of the competition, all criers did 3 cries. One was a hometown cry, one was something to do with horses because of the musical ride. And the third one was the history, something to do with the history of Petrolia. And I was just fortunate enough to have won the competition.
Excellent. Well, councillors, do you have any questions of Mr. Molnar? We don't receive him from time to time. Councillor Regina.
Thank you. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering, as a town crier, is there anything you have to do to maintain your voice and the power in your voice?
Well, I quit smoking.
Yeah.
Although from time to time it seemed I did better when I was, but I just try to keep hydrated mainly.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, it really is.
How often do you cry?
Depends on the year. I mean, I do Canada Day here at Charles Daly Park. I've got another competition this coming weekend that I'll be attending in Hanover. They had the provincial competition there last year, and they liked it so much in conjunction with their fair that they asked us to come up and do another competition just for the fun of it. So I'll be heading up to Hanover on Friday. Other than that, when people ask me to.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you have to,
I'll be
do
doing-
anything to maintain that strength in your voice. No.
It's just, it's, I've always been loud and obnoxious, so.
There you go.
You know, when you
Perfect.
only have one talent, you really have to go with what you have.
Stick with it. Thank you.
On behalf of the Council of the Town of Lincoln and all of the staff here, Mark, I want to thank you very much for continuing to be our town crier and for winning this special prize. It certainly brings a great deal of honor to you, but it also brings honor to the town. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You go on then. Members of council, we have, and ladies and gentlemen, we have another opportunity to recognize a colleague this evening, a certificate and the Mayor's Medal in this regard. The Mayor's Medal is given to prominent members of the community to recognize their special achievements or contributions to the community and who have represented the town in some way. And the 2024 recipient, one of the recipients, because I do give them out at different times throughout the year, is Chandra Sharma, who I introduced earlier, and Chandra is the Executive Director of the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. On behalf of Council, Chandra, I want to recognize you. If you would come to the podium, please, and because you may have a few words to say. There are many people in the community that we're associated with, directly and indirectly, that we work on projects with, and that in many cases, our success comes from the relationships that we're able to develop and really grow in some significant ways. And that is the case with the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. It helps that Councillor Foster, who's been a long-time member of this council, directly and indirectly, sits on the Conservation Authority. However, it's even more beneficial that when you came as the Executive Director, Chandra, that you were interested in what was happening here. You shared our interest in what was happening with the waterfront and the importance of shoreline resilience. And so now that you are leaving, we won't have the same opportunity to work with you, but I do believe that you will be influencing some of those priorities which are now starting to come to fruition. So I wanted to thank you very much for all that you've done to move some of our important shoreline issues forward and to accept our thanks through the certificate on behalf of all of council, and also the Mayor's Medal, which is another type of remembrance that you'll carry along with you. And I'll just get it out of here, maybe. It's always a little bit tricky. The clerk will look after that. The deputy mayor and I'll come this way. It's certainly been our pleasure. Very much our pleasure to have had you as such a strong partner, and we look forward to finding other ways to work with you, even though you're not going to be directly on our doorstep. Thanks a lot. Did it come out? Solid. Thank you. Thank you. Chandra, did you have any comments that you wanted to make? I'm sorry.
I didn't prepare anything, but it's such an honor. I should. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Easton. Thank you, members of the council. Such an honor. It's very humbling. Really want to thank you for that. This honor really belongs to our staff at the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority and Town of Lincoln for their amazing collaboration and what they have achieved in a very short amount of time. And for that, I thank CAO Mike for your partnership. It's always a pleasure to work with you. Both town and NPCA share a very, very important geography. We share very significant cultural and natural resources. And together we have a huge responsibility. So what we have achieved here, I hope we can continue to do good work in protecting those cultural and natural resources together. I want to thank the community for their support. And finally, Member Foster, who is our board member, has been the chair of NPCA past few years, working with me closely. We achieved a lot together. I'm going to miss Lincoln. It's one of the best communities. I'll miss stopping at the Gate Canada Cheese Company. Your peaches. I'll come back. I'll see you guys at the Balls Falls 50th anniversary. So thank you so much.
Administrative Officer Mike Kirkopoulos to speak to these awards as well as present them to the recipients. And after the awards have been presented, I'll ask staff and council to gather for a photo opportunity. CAO, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening to members of council and to everyone in attendance this afternoon. If I could break them up into 9.3 and 9.4, that way I can speak, I think, to both a little bit differently, but just maybe generally to speak a little bit to the awards, why we do them. Oftentimes during the year we celebrate employee appreciation. Tonight's probably one of my favorite nights when we highlight our staff. For me, it's about gratitude to each and every one of you. I've had the chance to work with all of you in various capacities, and I think each interaction I have with all of you further reminds me that we have some of the best staff, if not the best staff, anywhere in the region and even outside of the region. All of you bring unique assets, unique attributes to what we do as an organization, and I'm I think always amazed when I hear from residents, when I'm doing my day in the life and I'm out there talking to folks. I see a lot of faces here. Some are on the screen, some are listening virtually, and some will probably watch a video afterwards to hear all the comments this evening. But all of you are incredible assets, incredible ambassadors to our organization. Having said that, the first set of awards, there are 5 that we're giving out for customer service and spirit. And just to read a little bit of the background on what those awards stand for, it is an individual employee or team who demonstrates superior service to internal and or external customers with pride, and adherence to our values and core principles. These individuals have gone the extra mile. And as I said, we recognize 5 of them. I'm going to read each of their names, a couple of quick comments about each of them, and then we'll do a picture and all those other great things. Kim works in our horticultural department. He's been with us for a number of years and is a consummate professional who brings talent, dedication, and positivity to everything he does. Every time I've done a day in the life with Kim, every time I ask him about the work, about his job, about the beautification he does around town, he tells me how happy he is to work here and how much of a pleasure it is to interact with residents. I can't say enough positive things, Kim, about you and what you bring to our organization. His high-quality work, collaborative spirit, resourcefulness, and engaging personality, and the pride he puts in his work, as I said, are an invaluable asset. So thank you to you. Going to read the next 2 together. They're from our planning department. Josh Workington and Allison Martin. They were nominated actually by a few members of council who had a lot of positive things to say. I won't read everything, but I think a positive attitude and an approach and consistently going out of their way to provide a high level of customer service to members of the public is really what stuck out for me. The planning and development process is not an easy one. It's not one that often generates positive comments. It's not an easy job, but the way you do it, the way you interact with people, the way you take time. I've been on site with you. I've seen the way you take time to explain things, and I think you are an amazing asset to our organization. And the feedback we get from residents when I'm meeting with groups, when I'm meeting with counselors in groups, they often highlight both of your names. And for me, that's probably the best feedback that I could get when you're highlighted. So to Josh and Allison, thank you. Next, the ever-personable and affectionately known GC, Giancarlo Marcella, in recognition of your daily commitment to delivering high-quality customer service to our internal and external customers. You sit on every committee. Your enthusiasm for all things public works and beyond public works, the organization is felt. Even the smile and the glow on your face right now that I joked about when I came in. You're one of those amazing assets. I've been on the road with you. You engage with people. Your love of customer service. You came up with some ideas along with the committee around giving cards out and getting people to provide us feedback. And so you're the type of ambassador, like everyone else, that we want in our organization. And you make public works a better place. I know I'll speak for Dave and everyone else that works with you, that you're a pleasure to have around the table. And you have a voice, and a loud one at that. And you often tell us, when things are working and when they're not working. And for that, I'm truly appreciative of GC. And our last recipient is Leslie Sokol from our finance department. She is a bright and shining light in her department, also a department that doesn't necessarily face the most easiest of tasks, people coming to pay taxes, having to talk to people about late fees and all those other things. So a testament to what Leslie and her group does, but to Leslie specifically. She leaves you with a sense of expectations met and an inclination to seek her out again. She reflects the high standards the town expects in customer service and is an exemplary example. She creates a positive environment where everyone feels valued. So if you're watching, Leslie, if you're online virtually, thank you to you as well. So the last one is the CAO's Award of Excellence, but maybe we'll give out some certificates now, take a quick picture with council and staff, and then I'll read those out afterwards. If that's okay, Madam Mayor.
Yes, that's great. That's fine. anyone that the CAO has acknowledged up to this point. And, okay, Counselor, we're supposed to be going forward, correct?
Maybe for a group photo.
Maybe a group photo after.
Right, just let him do the individual ones and then
Oh,
we'll do a
okay,
group photo.
that's fine,
Yeah.
thank you.
We can do a group photo with council, sure.
Okay,
Liliana will tell everybody what to do.
Councilor Bernay, I need you to maybe come a little bit over to your left. My right, your left. Okay, perfect. That way I can see everyone. Excellent. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's good. I need to get up on my feet.
Two more. Next. Good? Can I go?
go ahead, Mr. CAO.
So the next award is the CAO's Award of Excellence. And just to read a little bit of a blurb on what this award's given out for. It is given out to an individual employee and/or team who demonstrate qualities of excellence and make extraordinary contributions to the town, consistently providing outstanding public service and a superior level of customer service, innovation, creativity, and continuous improvement. And I think, as you've heard, each of these candidates probably could have fallen into any one of these categories, but we are going to have one individual and one team award. The individual is Ray Winnington. Ray, wave for everyone that doesn't know Ray. Ray makes sure everybody gets paid. He works in our finance department and close with HR, but he has an unwavering commitment to public service and demonstrates a superior level of engagement and of service to the community. I've never seen a guy come in and be as happy, as positive, and as optimistic about all things municipal, considering he works in finance. Not always easy. And that's not a reflection of our finance staff, that's just a reflection of the industry. And I've got Councilor Murray now not happy with me either, she works in finance. But Ray always has that bright light, always positive, always looking for the best in people, the best in the organization, and the work he does. He's helped implement a very complex payroll HRIS project that requires meticulous planning, coordination, and execution. He's been on our labor negotiations management team in terms of bringing a unique perspective to that. And Ray, I can't say enough great things about you. I remember when you first started a number of years ago, I ran into you and your wife at Balls Falls, speaking of Chandra that's here today. We had a great conversation. It stuck with me. You tell me it stuck with you as well. You're still here, and thank you for the continuous contributions you make. Sometimes I think Ray loves the mic more than I do, And so, Your Worship, he definitely would have a lot of things to say, but I won't put him on the spot. And last but not least, recognizing a team award. Obviously, we're talking about customer service, and so I want to recognize our Customer Service Strategy Committee and the following members who sit on that. Some are here, some are virtual, and some are not here. Kimberly Doucette, who I did see virtually attending, Kathy DiBartolomeo, Stephanie Bellissimo, Jacqueline Buchanan, Allison Martin, Liliana Busnello, GC, Cassandra Evans, Andrea Chambers, Jennifer Sheldon, Trevor Dumernick, James Metcalf, Lisa Crawley, and Kat Jacoboni. Huge round of applause for this group, and then I'll read what they did. So this nomination also came in from a member of council and really spoke to how this aligns to council's strategic priorities. This committee has established and has been recognized for doing so a manual guidelines, a comprehensive training program, and SharePoint page for all employees. A number of these initiatives, as I said, have gained interest across the country thanks to staff collaboration with CAMA, resulting in a newly launched online library for customer service excellence in local government across Canada. So as much as we think some of the work we do doesn't have an impact, the work that this committee is doing, others are looking at across this country, let alone this province. One of the quotes that I've often said and I often stick by when I speak about customer service, aside from saying it's not negotiable, I often talk about exceptional customer service is more than just a goal. It's a core value that shapes every interaction we have with our community. Our staff's dedication and continuous efforts are crucial in ensuring that we provide the best possible service to our residents. By creating a customer service focus and strategy for all staff to lean on, we can then ensure we are delivering high-quality services and at understanding the needs of our customers and our residents. So thank you again to you. I think we're going up for a picture.
Sure, yes. Councilors again?
Oh, some more awards first. Sorry, some more certificates, then a picture.
Okay.
Right. Sandra. Allison. GC. Jacqueline. So Jacqueline wants to say a few words afterwards.
On behalf of the committee. Not because of me.
Trevor.
Jacqueline, you have a few words to say on behalf of the committee?
Yes, I do. Thank
Go
you very
ahead.
much. So thank you, everyone. Good evening. I'm wearing a few hats tonight. So to begin with, I just want to say on behalf of the corporate leadership team, I would like to thank all of the customer service ambassadors. It's weird having them behind me, but and I'm including you, Ray, in this too, because you are an amazing customer service ambassador. For their continued commitment, dedication, and time spent on moving this very important corporate initiative forward. I would like to also mention that we know that there's a lot of work to do still, but it's important to stop and recognize our successes, which is what tonight is about. We as the committee meet regularly, and we implement resources, develop, coordinate, and facilitate the training that and generally provide support to show that the exceptional value of customer service to our internal and external partners. So thank you very much. On behalf of the Customer Service Committee, I would like to thank Council and our residents who have all been a part of this nomination. The recognition is very much truly appreciated. And then finally, on my own behalf, I would like to thank the committee, because truly without you, we wouldn't be here and we would not be able to do all the things that we're doing. So thank you so much to you and to everybody virtually, and to all the other members of the committee who are taking a well-deserved vacation. So I'm going to go out just with saying I don't think there's a better committee. We are very good. Thank you very much.
Jacqueline, just before you leave the podium, on behalf of council, I want to thank you and the committee. I want to thank you, Mr. CAO, for supporting the work of this committee. The customer service attitude that we have in the town is growing leaps and bounds. It's happening because there's a well-defined process now. And you are also ensuring that all of our systems come together so that you treat each other well, so that you learn how to deal with difficult situations, whether you're dealing with councillors or members of the public, and to ensure that everybody leaves here feeling that they really do want to come back if they have another problem. I liked this phrase, an inclination to seek her out again, whoever that individual was. I think that phrase is really a goal that everyone could reach with a great deal of positive outcomes. So thank you all, everyone that's here and who isn't, because I know that this was a tremendous amount of work. There was a lot of defining to do. There was a lot of interactive work that was required by those of you who sat on the committee and provided the guidance for your members as well as the CLT. So on behalf of council, thank you very much. And if there are issues, I think it's very comforting for the public to know that there is a form of accreditation against which our behavior is measured. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. CAO, I know that you were kind of nudging Ray along, but I thought that we should hear from Ray. I think he's one of the first people that have, you were nudging him, but I think he can handle this without a whole lot of fanfare. So,
Definitely not hesitating.
you don't,
Kidding, right?
you don't have to blame the CAO for this, but I did hear you talking, Ray, the other day about what it is that you like about working here. And since we don't take time very often to acknowledge some of the fine work that goes on internally, what is it that you like about working here? You could probably make a lot more money elsewhere. What is it about this place, Lincoln, that you like?
Well, I'll tell you, it started day one, and actually he's in the room, Dave Graham. I started, nobody knew me, walked in the door, and here's Dave, didn't know who he was, took 2 minutes to say, hi, my name's Dave, didn't say what his position was, introduced himself, welcomed me to the organization. I went back to my new office, met my new boss, and said, hey, I met this great guy, Dave, outside. And I'm like, who was that? Oh, that's the director of Public Works. And I just thought, wow, like, he had 2 minutes for me, being a new staff member, to introduce himself, make me feel welcome, and it was amazing. And Mike mentioned, running into him at Balls Falls. My wife, my family go every year. He took time to come over, talked. I was a relatively new staff at that point as well, but he did take the time to get to know me a little bit, and there's just little interactions like that. And I will say, he's not here as well, but another example, Director Tiani, one day he randomly sent me an email saying, you're doing a fantastic job. And I think I told him something like, I'm having a great day. I have a lot of great days. I try to have a great day every day. But if I was having a bad day, that little email that took you 15 seconds to send me could have made my day better, right? So I find at Lincoln, everybody does that. The support is amazing. My HR family, my finance family, Mike, all of finance is really fun and great, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah. And to council as well, I do watch other council meetings with other municipalities. It's weird, I know, but the respect you show each other and residents and staff, it really stands out. So just a good job to you as well, the way that you interact with each other. It really comes across as a positive thing. And finally, I'll say, with Lincoln, we seem to be at the forefront of a lot of things. And coming to this job, it was scary. I was very comfortable in my old job, but thinking about how Lincoln's growing, reading great things like even, I have a small family, what you're doing with the parks, putting in accessible parks and really putting an emphasis on the community, goes a long way. And I just love the things that Lincoln was doing, and I wanted to be a part of it, and here I am now. So, just in general, that's some concrete examples of what I love about Lincoln, and looking forward to the next however many years, for sure.
Thank you very much, Ray, and thanks for being so spontaneous. Appreciate it very much. Well, I think a few days ago, I sent an email to council that was really speaking to some of the challenges that municipalities are having with their ability to recruit people. And the quality of the work environment is extremely important. And so it is really worthwhile for us to spend some time this evening to acknowledge those who have our back and who are looking out for things in the community. I think that Mr. Giacoboni, I really believe that Public Works staff have the ability to be very, very significant ambassadors in the community. And so your idea about the business cards was really a superb one, because it provides continuity of information, and it allows you to express your expertise around a particular issue. So thank you very much for that. And I think there's probably lots of other examples as well, but thank you, Mr. CAO, for ensuring that this was done in a public way so that our public could also appreciate the really excellent and high-quality work that our staff do in one particular area that is very important to them, and that is customer service. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on now to item 10, which is delegations and presentations. And I'd like to acknowledge Regional Councillor Foster. Rob, are you turned on and?
Oh, yes, indeed. It's I'm quite turned on by your whole presentation this evening. That's great. So, thank you, Mayor Easton. I hope you can hear me okay. And
It's very clear.
okay, thank you. I just want, and I can hear Pat Chariva here in Point Clark. Anyway, I was going to say right off the bat, thank you very much for the medal award and the presentation to Chandra this evening. I got to tell you, I have worked with a lot of really good people over the last number of years in both my political and in my working with differing boards and various things like that. And we certainly, with Chandra, have had a top-notch CAO at the Conservation Authority, and she's moving on to Halton to continue her work there. But you're bang on, Mayor Easton. She is a director on Conservation Ontario. She's worked very well with the file that both you and I know well, which is in and around shoreline erosion and the Great Lakes initiatives that are going on. And anyway, I'm just so proud of the award that you gave to her. Thank you very much for doing that.
Well, it was well warranted and not something that we should miss. And I hope that we'll be able to work with her in the future.
Yeah, I do as well. And I think, just the beautiful facilities now we have at Cave Springs, at Rockway, all the great work being done at Balls Falls. Anyway, thank you for doing that. In my notes tonight, it's just basically a brief commentary on AMO in Ottawa. Of course, the convention is coming up, and I know many of you on town council will be there. I'm quite looking forward to it this year, and of course, being back in Ottawa again. There's going to be a new president elected for AMO. I know both candidates very well. Both of them have been very active members of the AMO board for quite a number of years. More than happy to share my views on both of them with you if you're interested. Not in this meeting, but anyway, I think both are going to be a breath of fresh air in the leadership role at AMO. The region is going to be dealing with a variety of issues at AMO, and I provided you a list of these, but for those that are listening, we're doing presentations and reviews of affordable housing strategy, childcare space expansion, emergency medical services offload delays, the Healthy Babies, Healthy Children program funding, municipal funding framework. That one will be interesting. I attended when I was at the Niagara Days at Queen's Park. Had a meeting with the Ministry of Finance people, and I think this one needs some additional work. Shared services regarding our emergency management functions, and that's with Treasury Board, Indigenous relations, long-term care program subsidies, and program support, and that's coming through the Office of Women's Social and Economic Opportunity. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to helping the town of Lincoln, if required, with presentations in Ottawa. I am running for the board again this year. I have been on the AMO board for about 8 years, 2 as small urban, and now 6 years as regional single tier. There's a few differing people that are running this time around. A couple of mayors from north of Toronto have put their name into the hat for this. We shall see how it goes. I'll be doing my homework over the next week and a half and making sure that I present a good case for me being back on AMO. And with that, Madam Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillors, I'm looking for anyone who wishes to ask questions, and I see Councillor Njima. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Foster, for your report, and thank you for the smiley face in there. That's nice. It's a nice touch. I have a question about the region, the delegations that the region will be conducting at AMO, at the sixth one down in particular. So generally, should we assume that the focus of a lot of this is on funding and how funding flows for all these particular items? And in particular, I'm interested in the shared services item. Do you know what the nature of that delegation will be related to shared services and emergency management to the Treasury Board?
Yeah, thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. So I can't give you specifics at this point because we have a meeting lined up early next week where we're going to be going through this in depth. What we did as a council back some time ago was we did go through basically the various areas that the region has responsibility for and talked about some of the key areas that we think, even need more discussion with the provincial level. So I'll be able to provide you, though, a fulsome report and some additional information on those things probably towards the middle of next week.
That sounds perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Katarina.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Again, Rob, thanks for the report, and I want to thank you for your due diligence with the William Street Crosswalk. They started the work last week, so that will be done hopefully in time for school to start. So thank you for pushing that for Councillor Bernay and myself, and Councillor Njima and Councillor Russell as well. Question, Rob, like one of the delegations, and wondering if you intend to weave it into the narrative with these, because some of them overlap. So there was a report that we're 83 physicians shy in Niagara Region to deliver health care. Municipalities like Huntsville are offering $40,000 for doctors to relocate to that municipality. The town of Dryden offering upwards of $180,000. Any thoughts on the region getting into that Hunger Games style of physician recruitment? I know my first year on council, we had talked about that, and we were doing it here. So wondering your thoughts on that.
Well, a couple of things, and my own personal opinion on the, as you say, Hunger Games on these things is it's a net zero gain that goes on in these areas. Municipalities fighting against municipalities and using money. And by the way, I think no disrespect to anyone online that's looking at this from Dryden, but it would take $180,000 to get someone to go up and move to Dryden. So, but the city of Welland, they're doing a lot of work in this area, and they're providing funding, and they have been bringing in people in that area. We're the mayor and the CAO are a little closer to some of these things than I am, but my understanding in Niagara West is that we're in reasonably good shape. Now, there's always need for additional physicians, but the process seems to be working fairly well, and I think the attraction of our new hospital certainly is going to be something that is going to be attractive to people that are interested in coming in and doing their profession within our area. So, long story short on the thing, no, the region is not interested in getting into this game. We got enough problems with enough other things that we need to be getting involved with. But as Mayor Easton likes to talk about, we are still very much in a wide variety of things within the whole healthcare industry, and so we have things that we have to worry about without jumping into that one as well.
No, and through you, Your Worship, I appreciate your frankness with that, because I think cost of living, geography, lifestyle, all of these things are positives in our favor, and along with the new West Lincoln Memorial Hospital, and then the new hospital in South Niagara, you should be jumping at an opportunity to work in these world-class facilities along with world-class sites, schooling, you name it. So I'm happy to hear that. Thank you. Thanks, Your Worship.
Can I also add to it, Mayor Easton, through you, John, back when you first got on council, I can't remember if it was when you first got on or if it was just ahead of it, we were doing the physician recruitment within the West Niagara area. And I will say that, it was amazing bringing the students out and taking them and showing off our community. And as it turned out, 2 physicians from all of that work did come. There was no financial incentives involved. So, we do have a lot to offer out in our area for sure.
Councillor Foster and Councillor Pachuriva, I could add that those traditional reasons for physicians to come to our communities are not holding up very well. And so Councillor Foster and I were at a meeting last Friday on this matter. And it is true, Councillor is correct. Our situation looks pretty good when you look at the numbers, but there's still a lot of people that don't have family physicians. And so we have members of the community that are looking at solutions, and the meeting on Friday was to speak to the region about some of those solutions. The region is already spending several $1 million a year to try and decrease the wait times in the hospital emergency departments and to keep ambulances running. So every time we have to put another ambulance on the road because of the delays, we're looking at close to $2 million. It's really quite a shocking amount. If you looked at the physician availability in Jordan, for example, it's very, very minimal. And so you can't just look at a body and say, oh yes, we have a physician in that area. You have to look at how many hours they work. So there's many, many elements to this. In September, the CAO and I have a meeting coming where we're going to be visited by one of the local physician groups because they are going to be losing most of their physicians to retirement. And so there have to be other solutions. They may not be the traditional solution. Not everybody wants to be in family medicine. It's a very, very, very tough road to hoe now. And there's many physicians that don't want to have the responsibility of running an office and working 18 and 20 hours a day. And so we're hearing all kinds of interesting stories. And so although we don't want to, I mean, the precedent has already been set, but it's because of geography. So I think your assumption is correct, Councillor. But this is one that's not going to go away in a hurry, and we will need to be part of the discussions and part of the solution. So you'll hear a little more formally, a little later in the fall. Once the physician group comes to see us, and Dr. Kizmani the medical officer of health, was at the meeting. He's set up a meeting to find out some more information about another system in the province. We may have something more meaningful to bring forward so that if we have to make a decision that we can do it with, being able to look at a lot of different sides on this one. But I know that there's many, many people that live in this community that have moved here from elsewhere that are still going back to see their family doctors from Milton, Aurora, long distances. So,
If I can add, Madam Mayor, so where we are, our cottage is in Point Clark, which is near Kincardine, and Niagara has a shortage. I can tell you some of these outback areas, and I am not like Bruce County is not really an outback area, but I can tell you is that the look for physicians is quite dramatic up in this area as well. So it's not just a Niagara thing. It is right across the board, and and again, it's something that we push at AMO, and it's something that we're we're constantly talking to the provincial government about. So, and I think you guys do a good job in the town of Lincoln. I don't know. I perhaps maybe through you, Madam Mayor, to the CAO. Like I'm relatively confident that you guys are continuously, putting out through your ECDEB and everything else, that being physician area, getting information about what we're doing. So.
Okay, we're going to move on. Are you satisfied, Counselor? Did you have something else to say? Go ahead, sure, go ahead. You should be,
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, and thank you for the discussion on this, because I know one of the things that came up was, looking at rent subsidies or helping them find a place for practice, and that was one of the encouraging things that we saw together when we visited Lang's in Cambridge, and that's kind of that goal that ultimately we'd like to bring to the BDSS precinct, is have that. And you know what, and it's not just doctors that are experiencing this, the optometrists that I deal with. It seems to be a changing shift throughout all of those professions, is that old model of service doesn't exist anymore, and that's unfortunate, but we'll figure it out. So thank you, Your Worship.
thank you very much. And Counselor Mikulek, you look like you're far away.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, I'm vacationing right now, but I felt bad because I missed the last council meeting, so I'm here tonight. Through you to Councillor Foster, thank you for your attendance, and good luck on your hope for reappointment on the AMO board. Question I have to you is, on July 22nd, we received an email from our manager of capital projects that the Vineland project was going to be unfortunately deferred for another year. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. Where were you involved with these discussions? How does this, I feel like a record from last year and the year before, and I feel like if I'm not bringing it up, then it's just going to quietly go away on its own. So what are your thoughts on this, and when do you realistically think this reconstruction will occur? Because there's things happening for Jordan or Vineland residents that cannot occur without the region doing its part first. So,
Thank you very much, Counselor. Go ahead, Counselor Foster.
Yeah, so this is going to be a bit opinion as well as a bit of fact as we're talking about this. So number one, there's a lot of projects that we're looking at, particularly in the east end of town, to get completed. Including the finishing touches on 19th and King and the bridge through the bridge through the hollow, and the revamping of the road in through there. Those appear to be online and moving along in the timeline that we're expecting. As far as downtown Vineland, it's always been a challenge right from the start as to what's going on there. We, as we talked about last year, there was some engineering pieces of that were unexpected when it was being looked at, and as well, there's with the thing, it hasn't. You would have to talk more with your staff on this one, but there's not a uniform view yet on what that final product is going to look like. So, as far as any delays going into play, I kind of caught wind of this back a couple of weeks ago as well. However, it's going into the budget process, and as you guys know, budget processes are a very interesting time. They, right throughout Niagara, there's significantly more needs to be spent than what we have with budgets, because let's be blunt. We're already starting at about an 8.5% suggested starting point for budgets this year at Niagara Region, and that should send a few shivers up everybody's spine when we're talking about that. And my view of the universe is that having been dealing with the region for some time, and I think the mayor can also attest to this, it's not exactly a whole lot of stuff that can go by the wayside when it comes to dealing with the region, particularly the wide variety of services and the capital that's being done. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We'll come back to you once we know a little bit better what's really happening with it. Staff are trying to make their best decisions possible, but certainly it hasn't been dropped in front of Mayor Easton and I yet. So we will take a look at what's going on and hopefully come back to you guys with a good plan and one that your staff will also be able to support.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that response. It's just, me being in my position, I'm being asked questions of residents in the area, and I give them the answers that I know at the time, but it just, I wish we could be more definitive, and I'm really hoping that new projects aren't coming up that are pushing this one to the future. That would be really frustrating for me to hear anything like that, especially for the people in Vineland that it's got to be at least 4 or 5 years that we've been deferring this another year, another year, another year. So I'm bringing it up. I'm being that counselor that is, not letting this go away. So thank you very much for taking that question, as challenging as it is. Thank you.
Well, no problem, Councillor Mikulik. And the reality too is that there was significant work done a number of years ago on the pipes and the infrastructure in through that area, and certainly downtown Vineland deserves the work. I can tell you, I've been involved with that project for a long time. Back way before you were on council, we went through secondary plans on what's to happen down there, and even then it was contentious, particularly with some of the ownership down through there, because their views of what was going to go on was a little bit different. So, there may have been some delays came in at that point in time too, to get us to where we are. Anyway, I think you'll have to put the trust in Mayor Easton and I that we will make sure those concerns are heard at the region.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. Councillor Mikulik, I'll share some of your concerns, and I think you and Councillor Murray certainly have the, you should be asking questions. But when you're sitting at the table with 12 other communities and everybody's trying to get a little bit of something, and you look at Lincoln's position and the number of projects that we have going on with the region right now, compared to others, we're certainly not suffering. I also think that we've had other examples in town, certainly in Ward 2, where there's been lengthy waits of a decade or more because there just wasn't DC money coming in, and everything becomes levy-based. So I think that's a fair response to people, that when we're in a position to see a redevelopment in Vineland, which we're all hoping will happen, those development charges are certainly going to go a long way to ensure that the kind of design that we're all looking for is able to happen. So I don't see any attempts to push our projects to the side, but at the present time, if you take the bird's eye view of what Lincoln is getting from the region, particularly this year and the next couple of years with some of the other projects that are coming up, particularly in the East End and in Jordan, we're not, we can't say that we're doing badly at all. In fact, I think we're in not a bad position. I'd certainly like to see some development charges on the table in Vineland before we do anything really dramatic, because when it happens, that area really deserves to have an outstanding effort made to bring a lot more business into the community. I hope that helps you somewhat.
But it helps me, and I understand this as a counselor on the Town of Lincoln Council. It's just, you know, as a resident of Vineland, you know, from their perspective, you know, folks in various little hamlets or communities within the Town of Lincoln overall, they still view their, you know, their pocket or community as you know, their community, and everyone wants their fair share, and it's hard, especially during these times, to distribute everyone's fair share. So I'm speaking as a counselor representing folks in Vineland. So that's
right, and as you should. Thank you. And I know that I'm watching Councillor Murray shake her head as well. So, all right, thank you very much for that. Is there anything more, Councillor Foster, that you have to say about the budget process thus far? We've got about 12 meetings ahead of us. Looks like it's going to be, if last year is any example, it looks to me like it's about the same agenda rolling forward. It's not going to be an easy process.
Well, I was in to see my doctor the other day, and she basically said I had to lose weight. So I guess, you know, I'm going to be getting into a marathon with this like you. It's, we had a lot of work ahead of us. You know, this isn't easy. And by the way, if you guys find it easy in the town of Lincoln, you know, Lord bless you. It's, you know, that's good. But I got to tell you, going through budget processes at the region, it is very stressful. You know, we're very mindful of the taxpayers as we're going through, and you know, there are a lot of projects that are in need. Just to give you an idea, our wastewater treatment plant that we talked about, you know, when we first did our first budget approvals of this back, about 4 years ago, Mary Easton, you know, came in at 300 million. Well, we're looking at least $500 million now to be going and building that. So, you know, the escalating costs on everything is just creating fascinating times for us with all of this stuff. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I would just add that I don't think any of the trickery of the past with line-by-line budgeting and zero-based budgeting and all the rest of that foolishness, if anything, it just dug bigger and bigger and bigger holes. So there's something to be said.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, the region has spent a number of years playing around with reserves to go and balance things off. And some of the early that I have been looking at is that we're going to be making a major step to correct that as we go through our process this year. So, and again, you know, I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm quite looking forward to us getting those ducks in a row. So, anyway, thank you, Mary Easton.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors, for your input. We'll move on now to a motion that I have by Councillor Murray and seconded by Councillor Rinchima, that Council receive and file for information the following delegations. Regional Councillor Foster. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and the vote is now open. Councillor Regina, can I get your vote?
I'm trying to log in to, I somehow got kicked out, but here we go. I'm good. There you go.
Thank you so much. And I'll close that vote. And that carries. Thank you.
That motion is carried.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. So if I don't see you guys ahead of it, we'll see you guys in Ottawa.
Thanks very much, Rob. All the best. I'm moving on now to item 11, and we have one item for consideration this evening, being a memo from Legislative Services Clerk's Department regarding appointments to the Board of Directors of Niagara Peninsula Energy, Inc. Madam Clerk, would you please speak to this item and provide an overview of the appointment process?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. At the call of Brian Walker, President of Peninsula West Power, Inc., he informed us through a memo dated June 28th that the term for Councillor Bernay on the Board of Directors of Niagara Peninsula Energy ends on December 31st, 2024. He is eligible for reappointment to that board. Effective January 1st, 2026, under the rotation system, the Town of Lincoln will have a second director on that board. Brian Walker did indicate that he is retiring as the new president, and Jason Trombetta will send a notice in 2025 about the appointment of a further second Lincoln director for 2026, but they do need a Lincoln nomination for the appointment for a 3-year term on the board of NPEI by November 29th, 2024, in order for the board to ratify at their December meeting. So based on that information, we do need to nominate a member of council, and it's dependent on council's decision on who that's going to be. And so this would be for the 3-year term as indicated by Brian Walker. And so we'll just go through the appointment process, Madam Mayor, which is that we follow our standard process with respect to the appointments, and that you would raise your hand if interested in being appointed to this committee and wait to be called by the chair to speak. Once called, state your comments. Please raise your hand if you would like to nominate another member of council to this committee and wait to be called by the chair to speak. Once called, state your nomination for that member. I will ask that member who is nominated by another member of council if they accept the nomination. If we don't, we move on. If we do, we note that nomination. And once we hear from all those who are interested, we will ask for a seconder and we'll vote in the order of received. So that is the order of the process. And once ready, Madam Mayor, we can now open the floor for members of council to nominate themselves or another member of council to the Board of Directors for the NPEI.
Madam Clerk, could you continue?
Thank you. And so the floor is open for members of council to nominate themselves or another member. And I do see Mayor Easton, Councillor Russell has his hand up right now.
Councillor Russell, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the clerk and to council. Again, as per the memo here, I'd like to put a motion forward to nominate Tony Bernay to remain on as the appointee for the term beginning January 1st, 2025. I know that he has done a great job since he's been on there. I know he's on the governance committee, the finance committee, and he's currently working on the strategic plan. So I'd like to see him continue to move forward with that. Also, as per our own motion, RC 2022-145, I would like to also appoint Lynn Timmers as our second representative beginning January 1st, 2026, as per our previous motion that we approved in 2022.
So Councillor Russell, I spoke to the clerk earlier today to see how the two were going to be divided up. And so we're dealing only with the one position right now, and the second position will come forward in January of 2025. Okay?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm just questioning the reasoning behind that, as both the appointment and the beginning of that term will be handled, or will be during the tenure of this council. I don't see why they both can't be appointed now.
Okay, I get your point. Madam Clerk.
Thanks, Councillor Russell. I believe that with the retirement of the president and a new one coming on board, they wanted to send a notice in 2025 about the appointment for then the second one for 2026. However, that's what they stated to me and staff who connected with them. But I guess that would be up to council and that we would have to have a separate vote for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I've sent my motion over
Who did
to you, Madam Clerk.
Councillor, was that through an email or?
Yes.
One moment. Okay, so I just want to deal with this one right now.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Deal with the three-year term first.
Okay, Councillor Russell, we're going to deal with the 3-year term that ends December 31st, 2027, and then we're going to consider your second piece, okay?
Point of order, if I put a motion on the floor, do we not have to go to that first?
Is the motion, is your motion including both?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that it was part of the full motion. Okay, that's fine.
Members of council to speak to that motion, I can put that up on the screen.
Okay.
Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? I'm going to put that up on the screen in just a minute. I just need a seconder to
Okay.
get it on the floor. Thank you.
Councillor
Councillor
Reimer.
Madam Mayor, the motion is moved by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Reimer, that council nominate Tony Brunet for the appointment to Board of Directors of Niagara Peninsula Energy, Inc. for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025, and as per motion RC 2022-145, that we appoint Councillor Lynn Timmers as the second council representative beginning January 1st, 2026.
Okay. Councillor Patriva, are you speaking to the motion?
Yeah, Your Worship. So through you to the clerk, so are we still taking nominations for?
He's put a motion on the floor, and he did a point of order, and the mayor ruled on that, and so now this motion is on the floor right now.
So, okay,
Okay?
okay.
So we're going to take a vote on this motion as it stands before council. So the vote is open.
Okay, just a moment.
It's the vote on the floor right now.
Are you speaking to the motion on the floor, Councillor Timmers?
I was, yes.
Okay, do you have something to say about the motion?
I'm finding that this motion is kind of circumventing our entire nomination process, and it's not really how we've done things in the past. We opened up the floor for nominations, and to put a motion forward saying, it's this person and that's it, everyone else around the table has no opportunity to have their name put forward as a nomination.
That's why I said to deal with this one before you did a point of order and you ruled on the motion, and that's where we are.
So now, we'll have to vote on this. And then we will have to carry on if it's the council's wish to carry on. But there's 2 positions vacant, and there's two names on here. Well, the process is the process.
You have a Councillor Kojima over here.
Councillor Njima? Here's your name, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm wondering if the 2 nominees in this motion would like an opportunity to speak to their position on it, and whether they want to move forward as a nominee I haven't heard.
Well, this is what happens when you circumvent the rule. All right. Councillor Brunei, your name, I believe, is first in the motion. Would you like to make some comments?
Sorry, yeah.
Can you come on, Councillor Brunei? Go ahead.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I was coming prepared after a process of having names brought forward to speak to the history and the reason why I would like to move forward. So I will just proceed with that.
Just a moment. First of all, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay. Would you speak to your reasons for accepting the nomination?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So after spending 7 years on Penn West Hydro, 4 years, the last 4 years as chair, I feel I have a strong base, but continuing to learn every day with regards to hydroelectric distribution companies. There is so much consolidation that is occurring throughout the province. We have purchased property to build a new transformer station on Spring Creek Road in Lincoln to meet the need for growth in West Niagara as well as the Prudhome's development. Over the last 18 months, I've continued to learn by attending conferences and seminars and meeting with NPI senior staff who are incredibly talented and dedicated. I've had the opportunity to sit on a number of boards, and I'm not saying this loosely. I say it all the time to Brian Wilkie. Under his leadership, I actually believe the NPI board is one of the best boards that I've ever had the opportunity and the privilege to sit on. I've been on the Finance Committee, I've been on the Governance Committee, and I take my responsibility as a board member very seriously. During my time on Penn West Hydro, and the mayor can attest to this, she was behind the scenes, but understanding what was happening. You know, there were a lot of things occurring at Penn West Hydro. When I first became the chair, I believe many of the board members had never ever seen the shareholders agreement. They didn't know what it looked like. They didn't know anything about liability. So through the board and through my perseverance as chair and working with Brian Walker, we tried to rewrite that shareholders agreement, try to have everybody understand what it was. A lot of people didn't even understand about the rotation and how the history of the board had come about. So providing board members just simple information with regards to liability. The NPI board is responsible for over $300 million in assets. That's buildings, that's trucks, that's poles, that's transformer stations, that's wire, that's cable, that's everything that it takes to run a a power distribution company. And with those things come tremendous amount of liability. And I can remember a time when members at Penn West Holdco didn't even understand that we had insurance. And there's a reason why you've got $3 and $5 million worth of liability insurance, because when something goes wrong in power, it goes wrong in a big way. So, you know, I guess, you know, there's been a huge learning curve, but there's going to continue to be learning curves. And there's a tremendous amount, as I've already said, of consolidation occurring across hydro distribution companies. There were 125 LDCs 10 years ago in the province of Ontario. We are now down to 57. These will continue to consolidate, and we have hired a consultant to guide NPI in a strategic plan to help us get through the next few years and strategize as we continue to meet the growth moving forward into 2051. I would like the opportunity to continue to see these initiatives completed, and I feel that you know, I have stepped up to the plate to be a representative for the town of Lincoln, and I would continue with that opportunity. I would also like to say that I feel that I have the time, Many of the meetings at Penn West Hydro, the governance meetings, the finance meetings, they occur during the day. I've recently stepped aside as a board member of a long-term care facility. And one of the reasons I stepped aside was not because I wanted to leave that organization. I looked upon it very, very, very strongly and wanted to be a part of it. But unfortunately, over time, my vision and the vision of the leadership group and skill sets did not align, and so I stepped aside as not to be a distraction and obstacle. And so I feel that anyone that knows me, anyone that has been on council with me for any length of time over the last 10 years, knows that I'm willing to ask tough questions. I'm willing to hold the people accountable and continue to ensure that we advocate for investment in Lincoln for future projects throughout Lincoln, West Lincoln, Pelham, and all of West Niagara. And I would ask for your support. And I would also like to say that, anytime we go through this process, it is always a little difficult as we're sitting here talking about, one person moving forward. And I appreciate anyone that's willing to put their name out, and I appreciate, the difficulties that we often have when we try to, put someone on a board, and I just want to put that out there. I think, the process is not easy to navigate, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Could you hear me? Okay. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton, for giving me an opportunity to speak. I would be very pleased to take on the position representing Lincoln on the NPI board for the following reasons. I have prior knowledge and experience on the NPI board, and I understand the time commitment that is required. I have the flexibility in my schedule to attend daytime meetings in Niagara Falls, and I'm willing to accept additional commitment. As I did prior in 2019, I was on the governance and the finance and the strategic planning committee. So I'm very familiar with what those committees entail. My industry knowledge plus a willingness to participate and actively advocate for large infrastructure projects and improvements required here in Lincoln would make me an excellent choice as a representative on the board. Currently, the purchase of 2 large parcels of land, one of 52 acres on Spring Creek Road, and which will be a future transformer station planned for 2028-29, and also the purchase of 20 acres on the South Service Road in Vineland for a service center within 6 to 8 years. Both of these are necessary to meet our great growth that is happening within Lincoln. I believe representation on hydro boards are particularly important for several reasons. Advocating for our municipality and residents for service and infrastructure is a key responsibility. Having diverse perspectives with different views allows us to bring different experiences and viewpoints to the table, leading to more comprehensive decision-making. Equity and inclusivity ensures that the interests and needs of all community members are considered, promoting fairness. Increased innovation. Diverse teams often generate more creative solutions and ideas. Better community engagement. Diverse representatives can enhance communication and engagement with the community members, fostering trust and collaboration. In closing, I would like to thank everyone for their support tonight, and hopefully will vote for me to sit on the NPI board. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Easton, for the opportunity.
Okay, Madam Clerk, the motion is open.
Yeah, the motion is open, moved by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Reimer, which was the motion that Councillor Russell put forward, that council nominate Tony Gurney for appointment to the Board of Directors of Niagara Peninsula Energy, Inc. for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025, and as per previous motion, RC 2022-145, that we appoint Councillor Lynn Timmers as the second council representative beginning January 1st of 2026. That is the motion right now that is open that we need to vote on.
All right, and if this motion fails, we'll be looking for...
Sorry, if this motion is lost, Madam Mayor, we go back to what is in the recommendation, and then we go back to nominations, the way that we were
The
doing it.
recommendation that came from
That's correct.
MPEI.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, members of council, please go ahead and vote.
Madam Mayor, you need to vote.
Excuse me, I have my hand up.
I'm sorry, Counselor. I can't,
Sorry, we could not see that here in the council chambers.
Sorry.
please go ahead, Counselor.
No, I just, I wanted to note something that before Councillor Brunei and Councillor Timmers made their statements, I'd already voted. And I'm not sure if others had already voted too or not, so I'm wondering if we should,
We haven't concluded the vote, Counselor, so the vote is
What if I
actually
wanted-
still open. So if you want to change,
what if I wanted to change my vote?
you can do that, Counselor. You still have that ability. I haven't closed the vote yet.
But I've already submitted my vote, and it says vote in progress.
The vote hasn't been closed yet.
Okay, but I'm just saying that on my screen, vote is in progress, so I'm not, how would I change my vote if I wanted to?
You can click off what you checked marked, Counselor.
Okay, it's fine.
Would you like to try that? Let me know what,
No, there was that point, and there was a question I was going to ask was, if there was any members of the council that, if they would be opposed to this motion, if they were interested in being on this committee, or nominating themselves on this committee.
well, it was taken out of
Prior
our
to-
hands. It was taken
Pardon
out
me?
of our hands, Counselor, when the motion was presented as you see it on the
And-
board.
Yes, and there was a point of rule ordered. It was
Yeah, I'm
concluded,
aware
right?
of that.
Okay, so now we're still dealing with the vote in front of you right now.
But my point is, if I heard from others that might be interested, that could influence my vote, but I'm fine, it's fine.
It's not possible to do that, Counselor, when the process is going forward as it is. So has everyone cast their vote, Madam Clerk?
No, they have not.
All right. So what would you like to do, counselors?
You need to vote.
Maybe we should call out everybody's name.
It's not working on my screen.
It says it's in progress, but it's nothing.
Would you like to take an oral vote, Madam Clerk?
I'm gonna see if I can cancel this. Sorry, you got it now? You got it now? Okay, so can you please conclude with your votes?
It's just, I have just a red box saying vote in progress, but I don't have anything allowing me to vote.
Click on that red
Click on it,
box.
submit it.
Just like Council Nicola can change it by clicking on the red box.
Okay, Mary Easton, you need to.
I have voted.
You have not.
Okay, I'll try again. I'm trying again.
Mary Easton,
Okay,
okay.
how's that?
Okay, so I will close the vote. Everybody has voted,
Okay.
okay? Are you sure? So does anybody have any questions on how they voted that? I don't know, Mr. CIO, you raised that
Counselor
point with me?
Mikulik, I can't see you because I can't see you. Or Counselor Russell, okay.
So I'm just
No.
going to check with those who are virtual. Counselor Russell, Counselor Miklick, you've had a chance to vote?
I voted.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. I'm going to close that vote. And that vote loses, sorry, that motion loses 4-5. So I'm going to close that, Madam Mayor. And we're going to go back.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to our usual method, Madam Clerk, of seeking nominations.
And this is what the motion is.
All right, the motion ahead of us is that council appoint blank to the Board of Directors of Niagara Peninsula Energy, Inc., NPEI, for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2027. So if anyone would like to nominate someone else, other than themselves, obviously, would you please put your name up on the board? I see Councillor Pachariva. Councillor Pachariva?
Yeah,
go ahead.
thanks, Your Worship. I'd like to nominate Councillor Timmers.
Okay.
Councillor Timmers, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do.
And you
Okay.
indicate yes, thank you.
Do we have any other nominations from the floor? Councillor Russell.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Bernay.
Thank you. Councillor Brunei, do you accept the nomination?
I do, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other motions from the floor? Anyone else, anyone who would like to nominate themselves? All right, Madam Clerk, we have the names, we have seconders, we have acceptances.
So we've already heard the deliberations from Councillor Timmers and from Councillor Brunei. Councillor Miklick, you have your hand up.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to the clerk, we're nominating the same two people. I'm curious, what's the difference here?
The difference, Councillor, is that we received a letter from NPI, from Penn West, asking us to carry out a process in a certain way. The suggestion was made, and it went forward through a formal motion and voting on the motion to put the two names on the same ballot, which is contrary to what they wanted, but it's quite fair. I mean, if the motion is put forward, there is no reason why we can't consider it in a different manner, which we did. The vote failed, so we still have to appoint a person now to take us up to December the 31st, 2027. In January, we expect, or in December, we're going to get another letter from them asking us to name a second person to the board, and we're going to be back here, and we're going to be putting somebody else's name forward. But at the moment, we're dealing for one person. Clearly, the two people that have spoken about their motivations to serve are very clear, and they're not going to change. They're both interested, and they both served, and they both got experience. So we're now voting for the person to fill the spot from up to December 31st, 2027. That's what we're voting on right now.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you. So I am actually going to call, so we've got our first expression of interest for Councillor Timmers, and then the second one for Councillor Brunei. I'm actually going to call on each councillor to indicate who in favor they are. You can only vote for one person. Thank you. And so when I call your name, I'm going to ask that you state who you are voting for. Okay? So first we will begin with Councillor Rajima. Please turn on your mic.
Councillor Timmers.
Next, Councillor Pachariva.
Councillor Timmers.
Thank you. And Councillor Murray, please turn on your mic.
Councillor Timmers.
Thank you. Councillor Timmers.
I'm voting
Oh. Sorry.
for myself, Councillor Timmers.
And Councillor Brunei, if you could turn your mic on.
Councillor Bernay.
Thank you. Councillor Russell.
Councillor Bernay.
Thank you. Councillor Reimer. Oh, I'm going to need you, Councillor Bernay, to come out of there, please. Thanks, you, Councillor Reimer.
Councillor Timmers.
Thank you, Councillor Miklik.
Councillor Bernay.
Thank you. Mayor Easton.
Councillor Timmers.
Councillor Timmers. Thank you, Mayor Easton. And so that is 6 for Councillor Timmers and 3 votes for Councillor Brunei. I'm just going to put the vote on the screen, please, so that we can ratify that. Can I get a mover, please, for this?
Councillor Pachariva.
And a seconder, I saw Councillor Rajima, you've raised your hand, thank you. And the vote is now to be ratified. Thank you. Mayor Easton? Councillor Russell?
Councillor Russell.
Yeah, he's got it.
Have you voted?
He did, yes, and that
Okay,
carries. Thank you
good.
very much, Councillor Timmers. Congratulations.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Your Worship. And through you, I mean, we had 2 able-bodied candidates that both had expressed an interest to sit on here. We have the additional seat coming in 2025. I think it's only prudent that Councillor Bernay gets that appointment. So can we do that formally tonight and ahead of the thing, or should we wait?
I don't see why we can't do that.
Okay.
I know that it's not the way they do it, but it doesn't
But
mean that
it doesn't mean we can't do it that way.
We have 2 people that have
Exactly.
to
So
be sent.
I would like to nominate Councillor Bernay for that additional
Okay.
position.
All right, Councillor Bernay, as moot as it all seems, are you willing to stand as the second person? Your time will come up a little bit later. Madam Clerk, what is the actual date for the second position? It's January. Yeah, 2026. Do you accept that position?
You have to turn your mic on, sorry. There you go.
I do. You know, if you look back in what we talked about a year ago, or in 2022, we also said, you know, why are we doing this at this time? Because so much can happen in 2 years. But, you know, we are, I guess we're going through that, so I will accept, but there are no guarantees in life, and I've certainly have experienced that over the last 2 years with my health issues. So I thank you for that opportunity, and thank you, Councillor Pachariva, for nominating me.
Thanks very much. Well, if everything goes along as we plan, we'll have good continuity, so thank you both very much.
I'm going to take a vote for that. Just one moment, please.
We'll have a motion coming in a moment here.
Madam Mayor, can I get a seconder for that, please?
Councillor Murray.
Councillor Murray? Perfect, thank you. The vote is now open. And that council nominate Councillor Bernay for appointment to the NPEI for a term to begin in 2026. Councillor Reimer? Can I get your vote verbally? Oh, are you back in?
He's good.
No problem. Perfect, thank you. And everybody's voted. I'll close that vote. Thank you, Mayor, that carries.
Okay, that's great. That motion carried. So let's move on then to, and thank you very much, both Councillor Brunet and Councillor Timmers. And we'll move on to item number 12. MPL think they've really hit the bonanza when they get two experienced people. And also, I guess we'll also be looking at replacing your replacement in January on Penn West? Possibly. Okay, all right, let's move on to item 12, motion to approve previous council minutes. And we're now considering item 12.1, the council minutes of July the 2nd, 2024, and special council minutes of July the 8th, 2024. Do members of council have any questions? I see none. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer, seconded by Councillor Brunet, that council approve the minutes of the following meetings of council: council minutes of July 2nd, 2024, and special council minutes of July the 8th, 2024. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And the vote is now open, Madam Mayor. Yes. Thank you, and that carries.
The motion is carried. We move on to item 13, recommendations from the standing committees. Committee of the Whole minutes of July the 8th, 2024. Committee of the Whole minutes of July 15th, 2024. Committee of the Whole minutes of July 29th, 2024. Do members of council have any questions? I see none. I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers and seconded by Councillor Pachariva that council approve the following recommendations from standing committees. Committee of the Whole minutes of July the 8th, 2024. Committee of the Whole minutes of July 15th, 2024. Committee of the Whole minutes of July 29th, 2024. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Vote is now open. And I will close that vote. And that carries, thank you.
And we have no notice of motion that I'm aware of. I see no hands. Oh, we've lost. No notices of motion. Move on to item 15. Item 15 is the municipal officers. First item, 15.1, report FN-11-24 regarding development charge interest and late payment agreement policies. And I'll call on Charlotte Nikaitis. Charlotte?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. This report brings forward for council's approval updates to the existing DC interest rate policy and the introduction of a DC late payment agreements policy. The updates to the DC interest rate policy are required due to changes in provincial legislation as a result of Bill 23, the More Homes Built Faster Act. The second policy, our DC bylaws allow for the town to enter into early or late payment agreements. The DC late payment agreements policy is being brought forward to provide structure to late payment agreements for commercial, industrial, and mixed-use developments while ensuring fairness and consistency for all applications. This will help fulfill council's priority of a vibrant and prosperous community by being business-friendly and driving economic potential and community well-being, while at the same time ensuring an appropriate interest rate is charged and allowing for applications to be processed in an efficient manner.
Is that, I'm sorry, I was expecting, it was such a short report. Thank you very much. Councilors, do you have any questions to Charlotte's report? I see Councillor Rajima. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question through you is, and I can't find the exact wording right now, but it's the proposal to, it's about, so if you look in Appendix B, the late payment policy, if you look at page 3, it's proposed that an annual interest rate shall apply to the amount of the delayed DC according to the length of the payment agreement as per the table below. The first year is prime -1, the second is prime -7.5, the third is prime -5, and the fourth is prime -0.25. I'm wondering if you can speak to the logic behind that, the reasoning behind going with that delayed payment agreement, interest rate laddering.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
Through you, Mayor, to the councillor. It's actually the term of the agreement will dictate the interest for the duration of the agreement. And so what we've done here is basically structure it, which I would say is similar to what happens often in the market, so that if it's a shorter term loan, it would be a more advantageous interest rate, and the longer that the town is going, having a delay in those cash payments, then it would be a higher interest rate if the term is longer.
That makes sense to me now that I look at it a second time. I was thinking that the interest rate is decreasing as the years go by, but I see it's increasing, which makes sense. Incentive to pay it. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. I have a motion moved by Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Manjima, that council receive and file report FN-11-24 regarding development charge interest and late payment agreement policies, approve the proposed changes to the existing development charge interest rate policy attached as Appendix A, approve the proposed development charge late payment agreements policy attached as Appendix B, approve the addition of the application fee and administration fee to the 2024 fees and charges, and adopt the revised development charges interest rate policy and the development charges late payment agreements policy to come into effect on the date approved by council. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Vote is now open. And I will close that vote. And that carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. That motion carried. We're now addressing item 15.2, which is the mayor's report. Some of what I had on my list this evening, we've included in our discussions with the regional councillor. There have been fewer events to attend, and I want to thank Deputy Mayor Reimer for attending a number of them. I've received some feedback from those who have received the checks in regard to the mayor's annual golf tournament, and I'm really pleased to see that more and more quantitative information is being provided on the actual numbers of people, and particularly the children who are benefiting from the additional money that's being given to these different agencies. On July 22nd, Councillor Petriva and Deputy Mayor Reimer and myself attended a meeting that was sponsored by the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce, and the Sean Fraser was there, the Member of Parliament on housing, to talk about housing infrastructure. It was quite interesting. There were some questions asked about what kind of progress was being made federally around Indigenous housing. And of course, he didn't say anything that day, that evening. It was very well attended. There were almost 200 people at this event. But the next day, he made the announcement of the federal money for housing infrastructure. But it was very interesting to hear things from the federal perspective. On July the 23rd, I attended at the MTO Vineland Truck Inspection Station, and I believe that a number of councillors also attended. Members of the public will recall that the town had entered into this inspection protocol with a number of different agencies, and what we were finding is that there were some pretty horrendous violations that were being picked up on inspection. The cameras that are in place now are really doing the job for us, because our ultimate goal is safer streets. And by taking those great big rigs that have really no business at all being in town, taking them out of the town is decreasing congestion, it's decreasing impacts on the air quality, and it's ensuring that that we don't have these situations where you have to have people in the opposing direction backing up because the truck is too big for the space that's available. And so what we're finding as well, whereas we were told for many years, about 12 different times we asked, oh no, there was no issues with trucks avoiding the weigh scales. Now we know whenever those trucks are in violation, and the MTO is very clear. They know who's local and who isn't, and those aren't the trucks that we're looking for. We're looking for highway rigs who do have reasons, as the inspections are showing, for avoiding the weigh station. So it was a very interesting time, and also we went out in one of the vehicles to chase one of these rigs down, and so they are actually taken back to the MTO. They can be put up on the scales. They can be, officers can climb under the vehicles with high level of safety and convenience. And I think that this is doing exactly what council was looking for, and I'm hoping that that we'll be continuing on with this, as well as the blitzes, which Commissioner Graham has been organizing for us over the last few years. The regional budget planning, as we mentioned earlier, is certainly something that's there's going to be a lot of discussion about process. We're losing some commissioners. We have already lost one commissioner. There's a second commissioner in the area of community services, and that's going to be leaving as well. And so we're looking at those roles and some of the qualities that are required in order for us to address some major budget challenges. On July the 27th, I attended at the Highview Orchards. This farm is owned by Les and Pat High. It was a farm tour that was organized by the Ontario Hazelnut Association. I felt that it was an excellent example. It's on 15th Street. I thought it was an excellent example of a pivot by a longtime farmer moving away from tree fruit to nuts. And it was, I had been there when these trees were a couple of years old, so they're now 10 years old, and really quite, the production is very high on them. I think we just spoke at length about the issue of the physician shortage there, and so I'll just mention to you that one of the words that you'll hear is about virtual triage in the Norfolk area. You can do some Googling on that if you want to have a look and see what that's all about. But the meeting on Friday that Councillor Foster and I attended included the Deputy CAO at the region, Chair Bradley, and his Chief of Staff. There was representatives from Niagara Health System, one of the physicians who's one of the base hospital physicians. He attended. The Chief of EMS attended, and also Dr. Kazmani, and also the there's actually 2 base hospitals, and I don't know how, physicians, I'm not sure how to define them anymore, but at any rate, this was a meeting to talk about the virtual triage system and the benefits that were being seen in the Norfolk area. So there will be more about that, and that concludes my report. Thank you. We'll move on now to, or I have a motion, I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmers, seconded by Councillor Brunet, that council receive and file as information the following mayor's report. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And the vote is now open, Madam Mayor. Thank you. And I will close that vote. And that carries 9-2.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. Item 16 is a motion to consider confidential matters. We have none this evening. We have one bylaw for consideration tonight. And do members have any questions? I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer, seconded by Councillor Murray, that leave be given to approve the following bylaw, 2024-58, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2022-50, as amended of the Town of Lincoln, J.S. Vineland, Inc. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And that vote is open. And I will close that vote. And that carries. Thank you.
Item 18 is a motion to confirm the proceedings of council, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva, seconded by Councillor Timmers, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2024-59, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, August the 6th, 2024, being read a first, second, and third time, that bylaw number 2024-59 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
And that vote carries. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion carries. Before we motion to adjourn the meeting, do members have any comments? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Renchima, seconded by Councillor Pachariva, that council meeting on August the 6th, 2024 be adjourned at 20:16 p.m. I'll now ask the clerk to open the vote.
And that carries, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes our council meeting for this evening. Thank you for joining us.